The Secrets of Disney is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What's there, Mama?
10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck.
How do you do?
How do you do what?
Show me the smile.
If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
Very nice. You can sit by me.
Everything's so wonderful.
Come on, get up. Come on, get up.
Where are we going?
Up to Neverland.
You must kiss me.
Excuse me?
Please, princess.
One kiss.
Unless you beg for more.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of The Secrets of Disney on the Star Quest Production Network. I'm your hostess with the mostest. My name is Deborah, and then joining me is my co-hostess, Sherry.
Hello.
And we have just returned, well, not just, it feels like just, but not quite, from a wonderful trip to Walt Disney World. And
it was a lot of fun.
It was a great time. The only complaint I had was the weather, but that's because I'm not used to heat. And, it felt a little warm. It felt a little moist most of the time.
I say not just a little. I'm from Hawaii, and it was still hot for me on the first few days we were there.
Yeah. I think I did get a little heat exhaustion one of those days, and I was like, ugh. So, September, not quite fall weather yet. It's still pretty warm. Anyway, we are going to talk about something we had planned to talk about before we went, and we had technical glitches. So we're going to talk about Fastpasses today.
Yay, Fastpasses.
And Sherry is a Fastpass ninja. Like she's on it.
You know that now that you've experienced it.
Right. Like, because there's a couple things you can do and while you're in the parks that we'll talk about maybe in a little bit. But Sherry was on top of that. And before I could
first, we should talk about how we got our fast passes.
Oh yeah, because that's
a key step on using fast passes. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we should probably tell people what a fast pass is, just in case we haven't mentioned it before.
Yes, go ahead.
A fast pass. Okay, so Disney has long lines. That's no mystery. But they developed a system about 10 years ago, I suppose, where they have a virtual queue where you put your, I guess, for lack of a better term, name in, or your reservation in, technically on a reservation system, and it holds your place in line for you and you come back and get in a separate line and then go to the front of the line, basically, or near the front of the line. And then you don't have to wait in line as long for certain attractions. Like there's certain attractions it's really great for, and certain ones that it depends.
So originally fast passes were little paper tickets. You'd have to go with your entrance ticket to these little kiosks, and you would go and you'd stick your main gate ticket into that, your park ticket, and it would spit out a little paper that would say, okay, your fast pass is between this time and this time. And it was always an hour gap. So you'd go in, and depending on how many people got to that little kiosk first for that ride, each ride that had a fast pass had its own little machines. It would say, you can return between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock to then, as Deborah said, get into a shorter line and basically walk to pretty much the front of the line for that ride.
Right.
And over time, I believe Disneyland has what they call Max Pass now, which is on an app where you can do it digitally, through the app. I believe it's $10 a person, and you get to reserve your fast passes on your phone. At Disney World, the app, it's called the My Disney Experience app. It is basically the same as MaxPass, except you don't have to pay for it. So you can go on there and reserve your fast passes in advance. So if you're staying at a Disney resort, you can reserve your fast passes digitally 60 days in advance. If you're in a non-Disney resort, it's 30 days in advance. And you can do it on the computer or on your phone with the app.
Right. You already have to have tickets.
Correct.
Attached to your
That's key.
reservation. Yeah. They won't let you do it 60 days in advance if you don't have tickets to the park already purchased for that time frame you're going to be there. So
Yes.
there's a couple fail safes in there. And I know that like the Universal Studios, the place we don't talk about very often, they have a very similar system, but they also charge for theirs. A little more, and people say it's worth it. But Disney World is going to probably change to a fee-based program here pretty soon too.
I really hope not. I'd cry.
I know.
Being used to the system they have now, I really would cry. It would make me very, very sad. Especially since you're paying an arm and a leg for everything already. Why can't they let you have FastPass included?
Right. Well,
really?
And
but anyway, that's a whole nother issue. Huh?
And they'll probably have packages that will include additional like FastPass, Max Pass,
this and that.
as a incentive to get a special ticket package or a room package or something like that.
Still, you're paying for it in other ways.
Right.
In any case, so let's talk about how we reserved our fast passes 60 days in advance. Let's go there.
Yeah, let's go there because we actually had a plan in place, and this is our plan was we discussed our priorities beforehand, because you have to know something else about FastPass system is that certain parks have certain restrictions, and not everything has this virtual queue. So, for example, some of the shows don't have a virtual queue. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, but I can't think of one right now. But the virtual queue, so it's good. Like Magic Kingdom theme park, all rides are of equal value. So if you get a fast pass for Small World, it's the same as if you get a fast pass for Big Thunder Mountain. So it doesn't matter what kind of ride it is.
That's not actually true.
Is that? I thought they didn't have a tier system. They have a tier system?
They do have a tier system. Peter Pan
that's right.
and Seven Dwarfs Mine Car are on a different tier than the other rides. I want to say Space Mountain might be on that top tier too, but I actually just think that it's Peter Pan and Seven Dwarfs Mine Car, because those are the very most popular. So you cannot get the two of those in conjunction with each other.
Oh, okay. So maybe I was mistaken there, because I was thinking that Magic Kingdom didn't have a tier system.
I might be wrong.
Actually,
but
I'm trying to Google it right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
But they won't let you get those ones together for sure, because we couldn't do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then when we reserved it, I ended up getting all the mountains together on the same day.
Right.
But that's a fast forward. Let's go back to, we had a plan.
We had a plan. We knew what priorities we wanted to do.
Yes.
And there, like I said, there's a tier system for the park. So, so one of the unfair ones that we kind of whine about is Disney Hollywood Studios has a tiered system where pretty much all of the cool rides are tier 1 and you only get to choose one. And then kind of the lame, I shouldn't say lame because there's some nice attractions, but the less
some
popular.
people like them.
Yes.
My husband loves the Beauty and the Beast show.
Oh, yeah. So you get two of the tier 2, which would be like Muppet Vision and Indiana Jones and Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid, but not Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, Slinky Dog Dash, or I want to say Swirling Saucers. Is that a tier 1? I want to say it is.
Tier 2. Oh no, you know what? I believe it's currently tier 1. My guess is it's going to drop to tier 2 because it is not that popular.
And Toy Story Mania. Yeah. So all of the really popular ones, you get to choose one. So choose wisely. And most people choose Slinky Dog Dash.
Right now, because it's super popular.
It's super popular. It's probably one of the better rides at Walt Disney or at studios right now. And then like Epcot has tiers as well. So Soaring is like the most popular ride at Epcot right now. And Frozen Ever After, if you want to go see that, that's also hard to get. And then if you go to Animal Kingdom, like Avatar is the number one. Yeah. And
Everest.
And I don't think Animal Kingdom has a tier system. Maybe I'm wrong.
I believe Pandora and Everest are on tier 1.
Oh, okay.
I want to say Safari might be, but I'd have to look it up myself. The system is set up so when you're planning your fast passes, you should find out, and there's many, many websites that list what the different tiers are, and they change them. Disney just changed them, I believe, a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Deborah's right in that Magic Kingdom has no tier. I know initially Seven Dwarfs and Peter Pan were on a separate tier, but maybe they changed that. So you should go back and check. There's a lot of websites out there that post it and stay up to date. I want to say that's their kind of like their job, serious hobby. But in any case, so when you plan your fast passes, you can reserve them, as I said before, 60 days in advance if you stay in a Disney resort. And so what Deborah and I did is we called each other and we sat down and we said, okay, these are the days we want to go to these parks. And you have to decide, because it'll only allow you to reserve fast passes in one resort. You can reserve up to 3 in advance, but they all have to be in the same park. Mm-hmm. If you have a hopper ticket, once you use those 3, you can then choose a fast pass for a different park.
Right.
But initially you have to choose one park and reserve your fast passes. My recommendation is you go online. There's a bunch of websites again that tell you which parks have extra magic hours and which ones don't. If you choose a park that has extra magic hours in the morning, it will be more crowded because the resort guests will be allowed to come into the park 1 hour early. And so a lot of them do, because it is less crowded without the general public there. So just know that, hey, I want to go to this park, but it'll be more crowded. You might choose, just because that park has extra magic hours in the morning, to go to a different park. So just something to keep in mind as you reserve your fast passes. But as Deborah and I were working through it, we decided, okay, we're going to go to these parks on these days. And then we sat down and looked at the tiers and said, okay, these are the rides in order of preference that we would like to get. Because as you go in there and make your reservations, your FastPass reservations, they will disappear. We went on, and before my eyes, time slots were disappearing.
Yeah.
Like I'd go in and I'd try to shuffle, and then I'd go back, and it's like, oh my gosh, I thought that these time slots were available and they are no longer available. So, and rides that had time slots, gone.
Yep.
So, you should also know. Oh, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I was going to say that. So we got up at the
crack of dawn.
The crack of dawn. Well, I got up at the crack of dawn because the system opens at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for everybody. Yes. So if you're coming in 60 days from the 60-day mark, your window opens, and everybody who's coming in on that 60-day mark, it's like a race. It literally is like people are getting up at the crack of dawn to go onto the system and snag what they can get. And it's like Black Friday shopping. It's like, oh, there's one on the shelf. Oh no, they got it. So
that's a good analogy.
And Sherry was up. It was like 1 or 2 in the morning.
I didn't even go to sleep. Yeah, I stayed up.
Yeah.
To wait.
Yeah, but it took us to book 8 days worth of fast passes. It took us 23 minutes. I timed it.
Yes. And we coordinated, we called each other via Skype to talk to each other while we were reserving the Fastpasses. And to prevent any overlap, we pre-decided, okay, Deborah is going to do these days, reserve Fastpasses, and I would reserve Fastpasses for these other days and these other parks so that we could work together at the same time to reserve Fastpasses.
Right.
And it actually helped us. It helped us and it worked, but it could cause a lot of confusion. So most of the times when I travel with my family, I'm the one that does all the FastPass reservations, even if like my parents, my siblings, and all their kids come. I reserve for a group of 12, versus this time, Deborah and I worked together and we reserved everything together.
Yep.
But it did take coordination.
Yes, and like us, and communication. You know, it was
yes.
like, and you know, Sherry had a great idea, and it's you know, one of those hacks, I guess you could say, a tip, which is you start backwards from the last day of your vacation and move backwards, because you know, you figure you'll have more selection at the end of your trip than at the beginning of your trip, because of the opening window for your first day of your trip. So,
right.
You know, so people who are only staying at the parks 3 days as opposed to 8 days, you know, they'll work on those 3 days. You know, maybe we're all coming in on the 10th. And so they're working on, you know, 10th, 11th, 12th, and we can go and go, hey, we're staying till the 18th, and we'll work 18th, 17th, 16th backwards that way and hope for the best. But
right. So just to clarify, what Deborah is saying is from the very first date of your visit, that's when they set the 60-day mark, and you can reserve through your entire trip.
Mm-hmm.
So you can reserve, you know, up to, if you stay 2 weeks, by golly, you can reserve Fastpasses for the last day of your 2-week trip.
And I think that's the cutoff too, is like, if you, because this is a little known fact, is that you can't just check into Disney for a month and stay there under one reservation the whole time. You actually get 14 days max, and then you have to start a new reservation.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. And so 2 weeks is the maximum for anybody who's planning a trip on one single reservation. So if I wanted to do a 4 months at Disney, and people do that because they'll stay at Fort Wilderness for 4 months at a time, you know, those snowbird people, and
wow,
and they have to do a series of reservations.
Multiple reservations.
And you know, and they coordinate all that, saying that this is what they call a continuing reservation, meaning they're going to try to keep you in the same room or spot or place that you want to be without, you know, moving you to a different room. They can't guarantee it, but they try to. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, a little. All
right.
Weirdness.
So
yeah.
So when you reserve your Fastpasses on the system, you log in, and if you use the My Disney Experience app, there's a little icon on your phone. I would personally recommend doing it on your computer because it's bigger. You have a bigger screen. You can see a bigger list. It's a lot easier to choose and select things. But you can do it either way. When you do it, you click, it says, there's a little icon that says FastPass. You click on that icon, and then it asks you which day you want to select Fastpasses for, and then which park. And once you click the park,
you have to choose your party, like who are you taking with you?
Oh, right. The party size.
Right.
And so in advance, you need to link accounts. So Deborah and I have separate My Disney Experience accounts. So we had to link them so we could reserve Fastpasses for each other.
Right.
And so you go in there, you select all these things, and then it pops up a list of the different rides that are available and the different times. And you just have to select, you know, which one you want, and then it reserves it for you. And then it goes and says, okay, do you want to do another one? And then you do the same thing. As a little trick that I use is I make sure I get all the rides that I want at the best times I can. Once you do that, you can go back, and at the top of the FastPass reservation area, it actually allows you to choose a specific time. So let's say you get a fast pass at 10 o'clock. Your window is from 10 to 11. They will not let you reserve another fast pass till after 11. But the initial system might say, oh, an ideal time for your next fast pass is 11:30. So after you get all your 3, what I do is I go back and I choose the ride and I choose the specific time I'm looking for. So let's say 11 o'clock so that it can be right after my first one. A lot of times it will pop it up. So it's worth your while to go back and manually do it. Don't just trust the system to say, oh, these are the best ones that are available. Because the system is also set up to spread you out and to make it so that all the guests can, do whatever and have as much time in between. But you can go back and adjust it so that you can have a more ideal fast pass setting. So like I reserved Thunder Mountain and Splash Mountain, which are right next to each other on the same day. Well, we booked one and then the other one right after so that once we got off of one, we could just walk right onto the other one.
Yeah.
Just a tip and trick.
Yeah, there's some wait time involved in there slightly. Sometimes just depends on how you plan it. Like,
yes.
Yeah, like you go to at the end of one window for Splash Mountain and then do that ride and then your other window opens. But, okay, so this is where Sherry's ninja skills really were impressive, which is, okay, so after you've used all 3 of your fast passes for that day, then it's like game on, because now you can ride as many fast passes as you can, basically, as available.
But you can only reserve one at a time.
One at a time. So
keep that in mind.
So as soon as you scan your little magic band and it goes ding, and you go in and you're standing in the little tiny queue line with your fast pass, you get on your phone and you start looking for your next ride. And Sherry was like, got it. And, within 2 minutes, it's booked for whatever ride just happened to be available, within the next hour.
Yes.
And usually they were good rides. I mean, there wasn't one that was like, oh, no, we can't find one.
Well, I appreciate that Deborah calls me a Fast Pass Ninja. I actually know some other people that are better because usually I go on as soon as we get in and I take whatever ride is available on the Fast Pass just because I like to talk to my friends or my family while we're waiting in line. I don't want to be looking at my phone all the time. So we scan our our magic bands and use our last Fast Passes. And then we go in line and I look, and whatever is available, I just take with the best time, best ride that, we would like to ride. I know people that if they stand there and refresh and refresh and refresh, and almost always, not always, I shouldn't say that, don't get your hopes up, but a lot of the times people will let go of their fast passes for good rides because something else came up with their plan. So I know people who stand there and refresh and refresh and refresh to literally get the best rides available over and over again.
Like one of the gold standard at Magic Kingdom is if one of the following 2 rides open up, which is Seven Dwarfs Mine Car ride, which is kind of a roller coaster, and then the other one is Peter Pan's Flight.
Yes.
So it's like, woohoo, I hit the lottery. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
pretty much. Or Frozen at Epcot.
Or Frozen, or and then Toy Story Mania or Slinky Dog Dash at Studios, and Avatar at Animal Kingdom. Those are like the gold standard. If you get a fast pass for this ride, you're doing very, very well.
Right. And so people will stand there, refresh, hoping that one of those come up. And it happened to us once on our trip. I was able to get Frozen.
Oh, that's right.
Even though previously I had gotten Soarin'. But we used our other ones. And then I happened to go on and it was like, oh my gosh, Frozen. And I took it.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, just take it because this is a gold standard. Even though the ride itself, honestly, is not that exciting or great.
Well, and it's really...
But I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, well, and it's a cute ride, but it's a cute ride for your little Frozen fans. So, because it's not a fast moving ride. It's a boat ride, kind of like It's a Small World, only it's Frozen themed. And, you know, there's some cute elements to it and some really amazing animatronics. And, of course, they do the whole Let It Go scene in there, and then everybody's singing along in the boat, and it's really lovely. And, but the regular queue line for that attraction on a good day, 45 minutes to an hour. On a really bad day, 3 to 4 hours. So it's really,
not worth it.
And I would never wait more than 45 minutes for that attraction. And that's just me being honest.
I don't know that I would wait 20 minutes for that attraction. Like, I'm willing to wait longer than you in general for a ride, but that one, 20 minutes maybe.
Yeah, it's cute. It's not like blow your hair back phenomenal. So yeah, but the other thing about that in Epcot, and this is good for June, July, August, and September, is that the queue for that ride is entirely inside and air conditioned. And so if you want to get out of the heat for an hour, you know, knock yourself out, because that's probably some of the better AC you're going to get.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
But it was good. I'm trying to think.
It was a good trip.
Yeah. And we should talk a little bit. Okay. So yes, you don't have to do fast passes. You don't. You can go stand in the standby queue. And sometimes it makes that, you know, certain standby queues, like, you don't need a fast pass for it. It's under 20 minutes. That's pretty much.
You're doing good.
You're doing good. And here's the, you know, okay. So you know how airline, they kind of give you like, oh, you're going to arrive at 3:15, but in actuality, their flight plan lasts, you know, it's like 20 minutes earlier. They kind of give themselves like a 20-minute grace period for whatever, you know, oh, hey, look, we got you here early, but that was actually the plan all along. Disney does the same with their fast pass queue. So they'll say, oh, the line is 30 minutes. Well, it's probably only 20, 25. Very rarely is it exactly what it was posted to be.
Yes, my husband, when we went in April, he timed it on his watch. Every single time we got in a line, he timed it. And every single time it was shorter. I would say probably between 5 to 7 minutes shorter. The most was about 15 minutes shorter than what was posted. So we never had to wait as long as they said. Now, we don't want you to go and get in line and be like, oh, it says 40 minutes. It's only going to be 30 minutes. And then come back and be really angry at us. Mm-hmm. You know, that's not what we're trying to say. Mm-hmm. But we're also trying to say, hey, you don't need fast passes. Don't get scared if the line says 40 minutes.
Right.
You know, it might be worth it to get in line because it might be faster. Because it says 40, a lot of other people won't get in that line.
Right.
And so it'll ultimately get shorter just because of that. So just don't get scared of the wait times. And you can use the My Disney Experience app. If you have a smartphone, we actually had a friend join us that does not have a smartphone.
I know. Who does not have a smartphone?
She could not, look on her My Disney Experience app for wait times, and it'll show you. It'll show you on the app the wait times for all the rides as of that moment. It's very good. If you actually stand there and watch it, which I don't recommend because you're there to have fun and look around and enjoy the parks. But if you feel so inclined, you can stand there and look at the app and you can see the times change as they change on the signs. So it is up to date, very up to date.
And on that same note of posted wait times, there are certain wait times that Disney uses to theme with the ride. And the one I'm thinking about is Tower of Terror. They will put on there the lowest wait is actually usually 13 minutes. 13. And that usually signifies it's less than 10. So if you see...
Yes, it almost walk on, actually.
Right. By the time you walk through the queue, you're like at the line.
Right in there.
Right.
Yep.
Right. You're right in front. And then another one is, I want to say anything on Peter Pan's flight in Magic Kingdom, 20 minutes, it's almost, like a 5-minute wait. I've never seen anything 20 minutes is usually not 20 minutes for that. For whatever reason, it always seems to default to 20 minutes for that one. Oh, and
for Peter Pan.
Yeah, and Haunted Mansion is also a 13. Well, no, I've seen it at 10, but sometimes you'll see a 13-minute wait for Haunted Mansion, and it usually is like Tower of Terror. Walk on. By the time you get through the queue, you're getting on your doom buggy. So there's
we got a ride on Tower of Terror on basically an open elevator.
Right.
And yes, you all heard me correctly. Even though in one of the podcasts we said that Tower of Terror was my least favorite ride, I went on Tower of Terror and
twice.
Deborah didn't believe me. Yeah. I got there a day before her and I texted a picture of me on Tower of Terror. And she was like, what? I can't comprehend this picture.
I said, does not compute it. What picture am I looking at? And then I was like, oh man, you went on without me. And the funny thing is the picture. This is hysterical. So Sherry was apparently screaming very emotive, emoting a lot on Tower of Terror. So there is like one older gentleman next to her, staring intently at her while the picture was being taken. Like, and
I'm pretty sure he was laughing.
Yeah, he was laughing.
Like he was staring and laughing at me.
He was kind of giving you the weird laughing side eye.
Oh, it was actually really funny.
Yeah, it was
really, really great.
So we got Sherry on Tower of Terror not just once but twice. And she went once without me, so it was like, wow, she went by herself. Awesome. I didn't have to.
I should say that the first time I went on, it took me probably about 15 to 20 minutes to recover. Like I came out, my heart was racing. I had to sit down.
Wow.
I had to sit down. Probably the coffee I drank right before didn't help because my heart was already racing. But that's not the point. The point is that I came off of Tower of Terror alive, and it took me 15 to 20 minutes to recover.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm really sorry. I have to go.
Yes, of course. And we have a lot more things to discuss in future episodes. So you've been listening to the Disney Secrets of Disney on the Star Quest Production Network. To find links from this discussion, and to find our previous episodes, and to see it send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Disney. You can email us at disney@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social medias like Facebook, /StarQuest Media, or on Twitter at SQPN. I'm Deborah Shaven.
I'm Sherry Tamamoto.
And thank you again for joining us for this episode of Secrets of Disney on StarQuest.
Ta-ta for now.